Hello, welcome to our review of Costume Quest 2, which we just finally finished. I think what I'd like to do is we'll start with the negatives so we can end on a little bit more of a positive note. So for me, the biggest problem that this game has is repetition. It doesn't have a lot of room for skill development. It's the same mechanic straight through from the beginning to the end. At the same time as I was working on this, I was playing Eternal Sonata on the PS3. And to be fair, I haven't gotten very far in that either, just for time reasons. The holidays kind of mess up the gaming schedule. And gosh darn that work, always getting in the way of fun things. But regardless, the thing I noticed about that one is that the combat system progressively seems to be getting harder. I mean, I start with pretty much unlimited time. It's in the first level of difficulty, I guess the time bar, I don't remember what they call it in the game. It works off of the tail system, if for those of you who haven't played Eternal Sonata. But it only counts time when you're actually committing actions, and then the next tier, it goes down 5 seconds. You get 5 seconds basically to do all your actions. So if you accidentally whack the thumbstick or your dog hits the controller with their nose, which totally hasn't happened to me, then it starts going right away. But with Costume Quest, although they add in more mechanics, they have the counters, and the second hits, it really doesn't change the gameplay at all. It still ends up being hit button, hope that you hit it, which works okay. I had frame rate issues, and I don't know if it was because I had the settings set, but it doesn't seem like a game that should have been very high intensity. I wonder if I accidentally hit VSync or something and it threw things off, but I definitely had problems with the syncing, and slow down a frame rate. So that makes hitting those QuickTime events much more difficult. In the original game, which I don't have any footage of, unfortunately, but in the original game, I remember that it changed up the button, so at least there was an element of, like, randomness, I guess. I don't know if that really made it any harder, or if it just made it, frankly, more annoying. But at least I felt there was a little bit of a more difficult curve on that one. And, for that one, it was basically, I don't think the timing had to be quite exact. I don't remember if they had, like, the awesomes and the oopsies and things like that. But I was not very good at it. I really don't know why. I'm really good at the music games. Like Hatsune Miku, Rock Band. I'm, not to brag too much, but I think I'm pretty good at those. But I was abysmally terrible at this. For whatever reason. Maybe because I was usually, like, balancing a coffee mug at the same time while trying to play. But it just doesn't go anywhere. And if, again, I'm going to have a game that's designed for kids, especially this is basically turn-based combat. That's a genre where, we don't have a lot of young people, I think, playing these games. And I think that's one of the reasons why Final Fantasy hasn't been doing as good. They keep trying to head towards those, like, MMO-style systems or action systems. I know 15, I think it's supposed to be basically Kingdom Hearts with blue-haired, sexy Final Fantasy dude. And that's basically what Type 0 was, too. I'm almost done, so nobody tell me the ending of Type 0. I'm almost done with that, too, and it's basically a simplified Kingdom Hearts system. But there aren't a lot of turn-based games out there right now, and when I talk to kids, they don't play these games. For me, I don't have the nostalgia for them that I know a lot of people do. My boyfriend has huge nostalgia for Final Fantasy as a series because he played them when he was a little kid. I didn't have any consoles. We were PC Master Race gamers in our house. So my first JRPG was actually Final Fantasy 12. I know, it's kind of embarrassing. So I don't know, the nostalgia that I just like this genre. I find it relaxing, I think the stories are engaging, and it's one of the few genres where things are really colorful still. Eternal Sonata is vibrant. It looks great on my HD TV. I mean, the greens are so green, and it's just lush looking. And I enjoy that it's a departure from brown gaming. Everything's so brown. And, that works in certain settings, but it's it's like why you watch Disney movies still sometimes. It's just got that pop of color and the things that you expect, and it's why I'm really glad that Persona 5 is coming out soon. I'm very excited. Or soon being relative for Persona terms, but there's the hope that it'll come out now. But so basically this is a roundabout way of saying that if we're going to do something in this genre, I want it to teach kids how to play turn-based RPGs. And I don't feel that this game does it. It doesn't have enough complexity to make it interesting or educational in terms of teaching that genre. So that was the big complaint. Other big complaint I had was that it's just, for the first game, I didn't have to play it straight through. I just played it when I felt like it, and usually that meant I played it late at night when I was tired but I couldn't sleep. This one I played pretty much for an hour every Tuesday for you guys, and I had to finish it before I could get to anything else, and it felt long for me. Felt really long. I don't know if it really was that long. Now, that's not to say that it wasn't humorous. I thought it was really funny. I think the big problem is just the combat. And I kind of knew that was going to be the problem going in. I just didn't expect it to drag on quite as badly as it did, probably because I spread out the other one over a longer span of time. But that's really the major complaints I have. It's just that it's not very interesting in terms of mechanics, and it doesn't really add any layers of complexity. So now that we've sort of talked about the negativos, let's move on to something more positive here. I do like that it's text-based. It's probably text-based, to be perfectly honest, to cut down on cost. Double Fine, my understanding is they're notoriously bad at being over budget on things, so I think that Costume Quest is kind of their low-budget game to sort of make up for some of the expenditures on things like Broken Age, which I have. I don't know. Maybe we'll play that on this channel eventually, but and we're gonna take a break from Double Fine for the next game. So I like text-based games because it's reading practice, and kids need reading practice. Kids that are strong readers do well in their other subject matter. Let's think about this from a logical perspective. You get to middle school, high school, you have a math book, you read your math book. You read your science textbook. Reading skills are incredibly important. It doesn't matter what you want to study. And we know that the more exposure kids have to reading, the better readers they are, the better they do in school. This is like an old, well-known fact in education. I could probably dig out some actual studies if people really care, but this is sort of like considered common knowledge at this point with education. So any opportunity I feel where you can get kids reading, I really like that. And I don't care if it's just in there to make the game cost less, that's fine. I'd actually be fine if, I'd rather have text-based, honestly, than really, really bad voice acting at this point. So I've played some Japanese games that don't have English dubbing, and I just read the subtitles, and it's fine. I have no idea if the voice acting is good in Japanese. It could be abysmal in Japanese too. I have no context to understand whether it's good or bad. But I read it. It's fine. I get to play a lot of games that I probably wouldn't play otherwise. They wouldn't get ported over because it would just cost too much to dub them. Voice acting is not cheap. I know that. But I just think it's great. I think any opportunity to get kids reading, it's the same sort of philosophy that Reading Rainbow had in the 80s. Well, if kids are watching television, let's have them listen to books on television. People are playing games, why not have them reading in games? And the vocabulary is not that difficult. There's a couple more adulty jokes here or there. Of course, I'm also a big fan of playing games with your kids, not just sticking your kids in front of the TV as a babysitter. So I think that if there's something that a kid doesn't get, again, we're going back. It has that Disney vein where there's some jokes that are definitely directed at the kids, but there are some that are a little bit more adulty without being obscene. And I definitely thought it was funny. I found it very entertaining. The villain was sort of bizarrely entertaining. I liked the time paradox. Oh, hint, spoilers. if you didn't already figure out that there were going to be spoilers in this review. I like how child Oral has to confront his adult form, and he's like, I do not want to be this crazy old dentist dude. and I just think it's sort of fun. A lot of people said they liked the first game's plot line better. I didn't have any objections to the plot. I mean, I wasn't expecting this to be Hamlet. And it was cute for what it was. I didn't have any problems. It made sense, as much as time travel ever does. I like that Lucy and Everett get together, because he was always so, like, sweet on her in the first game, so it was really nice that they worked together. And I love the joke that Haley makes at the end. It's like, don't mess this up, I want to be born. So that's the best things I could say about it. I mean, there's nothing in there that I would feel afraid to play with a kid. It's very sweet, but it's still funny. And yeah, it is harmless, kind of Disney-esque fun with grubbins and massive giant robots and costuming and punching things. But there's nothing bad in it. I like that about this game, and it's nice to have games that you could play with the whole family. Maybe you have the whole family sit. You can get this on console. Usually, if I'm playing games with like my family, we're hardcore nerds. So holidays come and we are playing on the holidays. We do the couch thing. So anything where you can pass and play, I think is great. Even though it's single player, it's really easy to just pass the controller between kids. And okay, you got 15 minutes here, you got 15 minutes there. So it's an easy game to do transitions for. And if they're not very good at it, then you make the older sibling do the battles, you have a little kid play the walking around. Let's see. I wish, the side note, just for people who are really interested in Chivas, I wish there was a check mark that told you which creepy treats you forgot to use. Because I ended up going back, because it was the only achievement I didn't get was use all the creepy treats, and I had all of them. So after we actually finished the game, I reloaded the save, and I went in, and I just spot bots until I went through every single one. And the one I had, at least one of the ones that I hadn't used was literally the very last card, so I'm hoping that wasn't the only one that I'd forgotten. I should have gone from the back forward in hindsight, but yeah, that was the only complaint I had, but that's because I'm a Chivo hunter. So that's sort of the gist, the long and the short of it, the gist of it. Would I give it my recommendation? I probably would. I don't have, there's nothing I can think of that's inherently bad. It doesn't have any simulation value, scientific value. The literary value is about the same level as a really particularly cheesy episode of Star Trek. So it's like, not a lot to analyze from a literary perspective. Although, if you're not familiar with science fiction and time traveling, it's a nice introduction to time paradoxes. Yeah, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, it was fine. I felt the pressure to finish it, I think, definitely. And it didn't, from a Let's Play perspective, this game definitely did not have a lot to talk about. It didn't have a lot to react to. So, at least for me, I felt bored just trying to put it together into a comprehensive show. I think Putt Putt was a lot more fun for me to talk about while I was playing it. It was probably more interesting for you guys to listen to. It's just, it was so repetitive that there really wasn't anything to talk about. It's like, oh, I smacked another robot. Oh, I turned into a hot dog and I ate another robot. It's like, woohoo. That was about it. Anyway, so that's sort of my wrap up on this one. There's not a ton of educational value beyond the reading. But it is very family friendly. I liked it. I might buy it from some little friends in my life. Get them into that game. Right, so the next order of business would be telling you about our next game, which is going to be Lil, Child of Geos, which I got as a present. Whoops. I'll try to bring it up on Steam. Well, which I got from a friend, or probably Christmases ago. At this point, I've been very careful about not buying games because I have so many that people have bought me over the years that I haven't had a chance to finish, and I feel really bad. So we're gonna play a Little Child of Geos, which I got from a lovely friend. I don't even remember which lovely friend. I think I could guess which one. I think one of my bear friend gave it to me. Anyway, so it was originally a mobile game, which is how I knew about it. I never played it on iPhone because I thought that a game like that would not look good on a small screen. I had the 4S. So I was like, this is a teeny tiny thing for a game of that detail. I did have a Steam port, and that's what we're going to be playing. We're going to be playing the Steam version, which is supposed to be enhanced graphics. It's supposed to be very pretty. It's supposed to be short, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. So Little Child of Geos will be starting up next week. Hopefully it'll have more to talk about than Costume Quest. I'm excited about it. Another game with a female protagonist. Oh, that was the other thing I really like about Costume Quest. I like that you can be either the girl or the boy. You can be Ren or Reynold. Because I think it's nice. It doesn't change the story at all. If you pick Reynold, I'm assuming you're just heckling Ren. But it's just like an easy swap. It's really, you're just deciding which character skin you want to walk around as. It's easy peasy, not a lot of extra work, doesn't cost a lot of extra money, Ubisoft. And, yeah, I think it's fun, especially little kids. They love to play pretend. They want to put themselves into the pretend sometimes. So I think it's great that you could have a child decide if they want to be a girl or a boy in this sort of role-playing environment. Anyway, so that was about it. We'll check in next week as we start our next adventure. Bye, guys.